I've taken care of, like, Miyamoto Sensei, for instance. I organized a lot of things for him, tours in Europe.
What's he like?
It's okay. I mean, it's easy. He likes his privacy, so you put him in a room in a hotel, in a good hotel. He has a large bathroom, and that's it. It's fine.
That's easy.
Yeah, very easy. And you just take care of his stuff. I did for Tamura Sensei during summer camp in England. I would be in charge of his well-being. So there's not much to do, nowadays. You just accompany him, and make sure that he's on time and for class, and that he has anything he needs. If he drinks, you have to provide whatever he needs: cigarettes, wash his clothes.
No, nobody was difficult.
No, never. If you do what has to be done.
Right.
Now, if you don't do it, I don't know what happens. But in the case of Sensei, according to Chiba Sensei, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, he won't tell you, but he will never call you again.
Right. But they weren't like that?
This thing has disappeared, more or less, now, Otomo.
Yeah.
Now, you've been taken in charge by an organization or something. It was during the camp, so every one of the teachers had somebody sort of facilitating the whole thing.
But is that part of the training that's long gone now? That's very important?
Definitely. Yes, I think it was. Also, because in the case, it was true for Sensei, because he was traveling to give conferences about Oomoto.
Mm-hmm.
And the Otomo was also the deshi that will take ukemi when it was necessary, when he was giving, illustrate what he was saying with Aikido techniques. So he needed somebody to take ukemi and to take care of him. And he was traveling, especially when he was healthy, before the war, he was traveling all the time. Because he would spend 2 weeks in Kansai, 1 week in Tokyo and 1 week somewhere else. The north, the south. He was always on the move.
But do you think that Otomo being on the ball is something that people, they don't train that way anymore?
No, of course you don't. But it was in France, for instance, all these artisans, what is it? People who work with their hands, trade people. They had apprentices.
Mm-hmm.
And these apprentices live in their house like uchideshis. They were fed, they didn't receive any money, but they received knowledge. So there was a similar way of doing things. When you wanted to learn something, you went to the best possible person, try to learn from that person.
But they just don't do that anymore, in Aikido wise.
No.
Maybe still artists, but not Aikido people. But do you think that's by not having that, not having a true apprentice system hurts Aikido?
Probably it will disappear, I guess. And times are very different. We're talking about time when you had when Japan was still a feudal country, right? So you had all these daimyo everywhere. They had their own schools of Buki, or Aikido didn't exist yet, but Jujutsu, Boken, Jo, Yari. So some good teachers came out of this school. So if you wanted to learn, then you would go to this school, try to learn from them, and then go to another one, and to another one. But now all these schools have disappeared.
Yeah.
So where do you learn?
Yeah, and who do you learn from? Especially
who do you learn from? Yeah.
And then this person has great marketing, has all these inflated titles. You think, I should go there, as opposed to the person who has real skill. But that's what's difficult today about martial arts.
And this actually, it's still in practice in Japan. You see in the industry, in the business, when they hire new employees every year, it doesn't matter if you're out of a university, if you have a diploma from a university, whatever it is, it's good enough. They'll take you,
right,
and then they'll teach you everything you need to know for this industry or for this company. And if you're a big shot, if you come out of a Tokyo University or some bright school, then you're in the upper ranks. Yeah. But they don't care if you want to learn, they'll teach you.
Right.
Then you enter the company like if you enter a martial arts school, and they usually stay their whole life in the same company. Starting to change now, but
yeah, that's these things are so different today. Life is. You wonder what.
So you have to suppose you have to adapt, to whatever it is.
Yeah. So.
But is Aikido relevant in this world? That's the question maybe we should ask.
I mean, it's relevant from a developmental standpoint, but martial, I mean, who fights hand-to-hand combat anymore?
But it's not an art to combat Aikido.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, what about people today that are combining Aikido with other martial arts?
I think that's crap.
As do I.
I think, but I might be wrong too. I mean, some people do, and I think you can't run two dogs to rabbit at the same time.
People do. They think they can.
Yeah, but then they fail at both.
But no one today is failing that you can see. So you think that, oh yeah, you should have Taekwondo and Aikido. You should have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido. When
you have all these papers on the wall.
Yeah.
Sensei was done like that. Sensei was doing his Aikido Jutsu, his Aikibudo. And on the side, he was learning as much as he could get information from other, Buki, mostly weapon stuff. Right? But he didn't pretend to be a master of Takeshi Mitsuzuka or whatever.
You take one private lesson and you start teaching people martial art.
Right. But he invited the Takeshi Mitsuzuka teachers to come to his dojo to teach his students.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. They did that for several years, and they would come from the headquarters of Kashima Shintoryu to teach the deshis at the Kobukan.
But I don't think they do as much weapons anymore.
No, because that's this also. Since he was not teaching weapons, he was just doing it.
But Aikidos today I don't think they are.
No, but as I said, in Hombu, Yamaguchi Sensei would teach weapons.
People today, though.
But that's their problem.
Yeah.
If you know that you have to know weapons, then you have to find a way to study it.
But I think that even at Hombu, they're focusing more on the...
No, there is no weapon classes. That's absolutely not. But you're required to show some weapons for a downgrade examination. So where do you get it?
But I mean, the practice of sword, the practice of Jo,
it's not taught.
Yeah. So then you're coming back to this idea of what is necessary to develop a person to be good at Aikido.
So you have to go from one school to the other, gather information, and then work on yourself.
Get people to do that.
That's another story.
Yeah. Who is your favorite person to train with? Your favorite training partner? Did you have one? Or someone you like to train with?
We were a group of guys. I'd always remember being in a group of guys of all kind of nationality, including Japanese, of course. So we were all training with each other. I don't care who I trained with, really. There were people that were harsh. If you say Miyamoto Sensei 30 years ago, that was pain in the ass, to train with him because he was trying to kill you, basically. Right? So was Shibata Sensei as well. So they wouldn't let you do anything. They would hit you. They would, take you really hard. So training with them was not entertaining, or it was not, something you look after. But if you had to do it once in a while, to get that form of somebody widely better than you.
But would they do that out of malice?
I don't think so. I think that was the system.
They just train intensely.
Yeah, that was the system. You can't beat me.
Yeah.
The competition was there. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like there was a day when you got close to beating them?
No. Miyamoto, maybe. Not beating him, but being pretty, we could have practiced together equal. Shibata Sensei, no. Shibata Sensei is too good.
Yeah.
Physically. And he was really top. And of course, Chiba Sensei, he was unreachable.
That's interesting because some people, when I talk to them, they think the opposite. They think they could be closer to Shibata and no way to touch Miyamoto.
Miyamoto is still young. I mean, he's still young. He's 60 something. Yeah. Shibata Sensei has done all this stuff when he was 35 or 30 years old. Wow, it was, so powerful. I've never seen anybody that could even get close to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he's kind of retired though as Aikido.
He got seriously sick at one point. So, but he still teaches like 3 times a week or 4 times a week in Berkeley.
Did you ever meet my teacher?
No, Furuya Sensei?
Yeah.
No, I never had a chance.
Kind of two ships passing in the night type thing. Because they kind of have the same era, but he's in America. And then he studied with Mitsuzuka Sensei. He was a second Doshi student. So it's kind of interesting. We talk about these things like, this training. Training in our dojo in the 90s was really rough. People got hurt all the time because the people there were training so intensely. But today, when you train with someone intensely, they get upset. And that's hard to for me, it's hard to deal with because you have to be a teacher today and you can't be a warrior. You can't be an Aikidoist. You have to, okay.
So maybe Aikido has nothing to do now with the times. Should disappear.
You think? Some people think that. You wonder.
Something else would come out. Something different.
Something fun. Something sexy.
Aikido is sexy. And it's fun. But it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Your life is not on the line. Or you're not going to get, destroyed by a wonderful punch that will knock you out for the rest of the day. No, it's rough because you have to overcome your own limits and you have to try to improve all the time and get better and get not softer, more flexible, more in control. That's, for me, was the practice.
Yeah.
And of course, people that we're just talking about, Miyamoto Sensei, Shibata, Arikawa, they were so strong. Or Tohei Sensei was a monster of strength.
Yeah.
But also, when you look at them, when they do the techniques, it's beautiful. It flows. There is no heat. And suddenly somebody's flying.
But that's what it seems like today. It's so hard to get someone on their feet Aikido wise and then get them into the class. And then, a month or two later, they just quit because they're like, oh, this is too hard. It's too complicated.
At that time, the time I'm talking about, people were training 4 or 5 hours a day.
Oh.
If you train 1 hour every other week, what do you expect?
That's true. When I was a student, we trained 7 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day.
Yes.
And then it was really strict and you had to be on the ball.
No, of course.
But today it seems like it's much harder. You say,
times have changed. People have things to do. They have telephone. They have tablets. They have television. In the 70s, there was no television. There was no iPhone. So we had plenty of time.
What's your fondest memory of training with Chiba or?
With Chiba Sensei, every class was wonderful. So it was just fun. And then Shibata Sensei, when he also started teaching at Hombu, he started to develop himself through the students. So, and then he would take you with him. You were part of that from training. He was training, I was training too. He was learning, I was learning. I was passing because, that class, so there were maybe 8 people, and he would use you all the time.
But that's that magic that I don't know if people have today. That I was here studying with my teacher, for 3 hours, 2 hours, or something like that, and like you see some stuff. But then these people that come in for a week, come in for a year, and then they leave
because they're not passionate. That's not what they want. You cannot have that's not a philosophy, but I think that you cannot have everything right now. You have to work for it. Especially this kind of thing. You can buy a car, you can buy a telephone, or a beautiful television set, if you have the money. But you don't need to work for that. Maybe to get the money, but
you could do it on credit. You don't need to have
exactly. So too many people now wants to have everything now, and then pay later maybe. But it's not the way it works. In Aikido, for instance, you have to pay up front in the training.
Yeah.
Then you learn.
But some of the stuff you see on the internet, you just go,
oh, well, don't go to the internet. The internet is a poison.
Hmm.
YouTube is poison. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, that's poison.
Yeah.
Really. It's poisoning people. Make them believe that, they can do anything right. I remember, for instance, I knew that if you want to get something from a teacher, you have to become Izuke.
Right.
Somehow. Because he will send you in through your body. Then you learn. So and Chiba Sensei always said, you have to go to Yamaguchi Sensei. Don't miss a class. He's a magician and you learn through Izuke. So I was taking all his classes. Never missed any. And he never touches me.
Really?
No. He doesn't know. I don't know if he knows that I exist, because he comes around and he throws people around. He would throw my partner, but he doesn't touch me.
How come?
I have no idea. And it went on for 2 years. So, but I'm still here, training. And I gave up the idea that he will ever, throw me. And then one day he stops the class and he points at me. So I go in the middle and he demonstrate things. I don't remember what it was. And after that, every class he used me for okay.
How did that feel? I mean, not that he's using, but the technique, the feeling of him throwing you, what was that like?
It was great though, because he had that flow that you understand perfectly what's going on.
Yeah.
So whether Iriminage or Ikkyo, you just had to go for it.
But you kind of knew that the way to go.
No, because he was changing all the time. He would start something and then to surprise you, he would change it into something. Another technique that you were not expected. I broke my shoulder because of that. I was late when he changed. And he went from one technique to Iriminage, and when he threw me Iriminage, I was not ready. I was late, so I landed on the shoulder. So it popped out. Wow. He was doing that all the time.
The funny thing is, you think about Yamaguchi Sensei's technique, you don't think of it like that. But I mean, you are the evidence that if you don't know how to move your body, you're going to get hurt, and your shoulder's going to pop up, and then...
And Arikawa Sensei was the opposite. Arikawa Sensei was everything concentrated on the size of this table. That's why he was moving. And then he would throw you within this area. So it was very hard to take ukemi for him.
Was he rough?
Yeah, it was rough because it was to the point. Yamaguchi Sensei always give you a chance to take ukemi in the end. So he would open, so you could go. But Arikawa Sensei was not opening anything.
Did people get hurt?
No, they didn't get hurt because you get used to it. You were aware. Mm. Of course, he wouldn't use anybody because he would probably hurt anybody. But the people that were practicing with them, they knew what was going to happen, but they didn't know what. They knew it was going to happen.
Because Yoshida Sensei said that Arikawa Sensei said there's no ukemi in Aikido, or something like that.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But you have to, otherwise you have no partner for the next day. So you cannot kill everyone.
But I mean, that must be taking ukemi for both those people. It's the same, but there's stark differences in the style.
It's the same, but you have a different interpretation, a different vision of the same techniques or the same motions. That's what makes it so interesting too. Because you want to learn, you don't see the same thing from one teacher to the other, I think. So you practice with this teacher and you demonstrate it, whatever it is. And the next day you go to another one and it does the same practice, but with this vision. And then suddenly you see something, or when you take ukemi, you feel something different. So it opens doors for you, for yourself to understand how it works.
So like today, can you go, oh, this is Arikawa Sensei style, this is Yamaguchi Sensei style, this is Chiba Sensei style. Can you do that within like your own?
You could, if you wanted.
Like I was watching Suichi Nakano Shihan's video demonstrating Arikawa Sensei Shihonage. And I was like, oh, that's where Furu Sensei used that Shihonage this one time.
Mm. Well, you can pretend to do it.
Yeah.
Or you can pretend to imitate, but no. And you remember this book, Budo Renshu, why was it created? It was created because the students of O-sensei Hideshi didn't understand what was going on. And O-sensei was never doing the same thing twice. He was changing technique all the time. Yeah. And the next day was different. So they didn't understand that. And this lady, what was her name? Kuni, something like that. She was an art student. She went to art school. So she had a knack to draw. And then she would quickly take a sketch. And after class with the other dishes, they would decide, what did you do? And, you know, from the sketch, they would write a little comment. And O-sensei saw that, and he gave them more comments. And then it became a habit that he would say, did you catch it? So she would draw it.
That's
because they didn't understand what was going on.
That's pretty incredible, though, to have that input and then have O-sensei have input. So it's kind of like having a photograph or a video today.
Yes, and then they did it, the Hombu Dojo pictures. That's where some rich, the Kodansha publisher, his son was doing Aikido with O-sensei. And since they were a well-off family, he had a very good Leica camera. And he took these pictures that are perfect. And they go back to 1933 or something like that.
That's the hard part, is that having, some people don't enjoy that lineage, right? And then they only have the pictures.
So once again, this is what you were saying before. If you go on that way, on this road to learn Aikido, and you want to, there is no other way than you have to find out the teacher that you need, and you have to go, whatever the cost, or whatever, you know, this is the only way you're going to learn it.
Yeah, well, for like you, what did your parents say when you said, hey, I'm moving to Japan?
Yeah, I was 25 years old. My parents couldn't care less. I was 31, actually, when I arrived in Japan. You know. They didn't even know where I was, so...
But still, I mean, you have to like seek out that thing, because in that time there's no cell phones, YouTube, books.
Yeah, that's my luck was have my first teacher, who was not good at Aikido. He was good at knowing where there was good Aikido, and he took me straight to Tamura Sensei, and he said, "Look, we're going to practice together, but I'll show you what is good Aikido first. See, this is good Aikido. This is what we want to do."
And then you speaking of Tamura Sensei, like you did sword work, and you did Iaido, and Tamura Sensei did Kendo and Iaido. How important do you think sword work is to learning Aikido?
It's essential.
Because a lot of people today do not.
No, and that's why it's so bad, probably. Like they don't do Kenjutsu either.
Yeah.
Weapons, I think, is more than half of what you have to learn to understand Aikido. Because Aikido is all about cutting.
Right.
So if you don't cut with the sword, now would you know?
So there's like a large group of people that don't
do. But you can see the results. You know, it's just crap. Most of it.
Yeah, that's the hard part. That it's some of it's either really bad, or well publicized, or really flashy. You know.
Now, on the other hand, the Chiba Sensei was always saying, "Well, if that makes them happy, then
that's true.
It's a success." So, after all, who I am to say that somebody is good or is not good? If that person is happy with that, so be it.
But the hard part is the longevity of Aikido is at stake when people are not qualified teaching Aikido.
So you have to find what the real thing somewhere. There must be.
But the person has to want to travel to that thing.
Yeah, definitely.
In the early 2000s, we had these students come from the Bahamas, and my Fu Sensei made a 9-video series, and these people copied the movements to a T, and their Aikido was actually pretty good. They got to like maybe Fu Sensei gave them like first cue, and then they just disappeared. But it was funny because they were they were demonstrating, because Fu Sensei said, "Okay, demonstrate," and they were demonstrating, and then they would go, "I'm going to move." Cough. And then we're like, what? Why do they do that? It seems so weird to say cough. And then when we're talking to them, we realized that was Fu Sensei coughed during the thing.
Oh.
So the guy goes, cough.
That's funny.
But they got to be actually very good. And then they came here, but then we never saw, that was that one time, and then we never saw them again. But then how do people today with this digital mindset go, well, I don't need to go to this seminar. I'll watch it on the internet, online.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, I mean, can you get good?
Can you become a mechanic with only videos?
People do. They go, hey, I want to figure out how to do this thing. They go on YouTube, and YouTube tells them how to change a tire. Or
change a tire makes sense, but repair a car or become a concert master.
But what's the thing that's missing on
Practice.
YouTube? Practice and touch. That the feeling of, like you're very lucky to have touched Arikawa, Yamaguchi,
right.
Chiba Sensei, second Doshu.
Very right.
People today go, I don't know what that feeling is. And that they don't understand, because Americans or Westerners only want to know what did they do. They don't want to know what it felt like. That feeling of being thrown by the teacher, someone who's really good. You go, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. And that's maybe what's missing today in this.
I guess. Well, definitely good teachers are missing, and there are too many bad teachers.
Oh, there's a lot of bad
teachers. They have
teachers.
no really reason to be teaching.
Do you think that if people are going to study sword, they should study Kendo, Iaido?
Nobody's studying sword nowadays.
No, but if they were to enhance their Aikido, you think
it's a package, because I remember talking with Chiba Sensei about that, because he, having known O-Sensei for not a long time, but 3-4 years, and traveling a lot with him, he realized that Aikido was, O-Sensei being very, very religious as well. It was a whole package: religion, weapons, sword, and body art. So you have to do the whole thing to get Aikido. Aikijutsu or Aikibudo, because Aikido is a strange word that was created for political reasons. Religions, you have a problem there, because I'm not religious at all. And the thing that O-Sensei was worshipping are difficult to understand for us.
Right, and I heard he could talk about Christianity, he could talk about Hinduism, and people today are just only looking at it from one point of view.
So Chiba Sensei replaced it with Zazen, meditation. That's a possibility. But then the rest, we had it all: Boken, Jo, all Buki was art, and then body art. So are you ready to do that? You have to do all of it. You cannot not do Aikido if you don't do Kenjutsu.
But a lot of Aikidos, even in Japan, don't do sword work.
No, even at Hombu.
Yeah.
They don't teach. But you're supposed to do it outside.
You think?
Yeah.
Does Hombu frown or smile upon that?
They all do. All the Deshis are studying Yai or Kenjutsu outside Hombu.
Yeah, because a lot of them study there, because Yai there would be what, Jiki Nation?
Yeah, any ryu will do. Doesn't matter. Omori ryu is just a recent and more ready to reach Yai ryu, or Eishin ryu is pretty common too. Kashima Shin-ryu less, but it's mostly Ken, Kashima Shin-ryu.
What about Kendo?
But Kendo is a sport, so it's not anymore a do. It's not anymore a ryu rather than a do. It's a sport. You have to win. So, give them sword, live blade. Do you think they're going to hit each other like that? No. So it doesn't make sense. Or boken, Then it changes everything. Now suddenly you have a piece of bamboo and you can hit somebody, and they have a sort of protection as well. It doesn't hurt that much. So you can hit like bang, 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 but it doesn't mean anything. It's not, I don't see it as anything martial in it.
Yeah, just in spirit, I suppose, like when they talk about it in that way.
Training is very hard, though. So you do the training very seriously in Kendo, then you get that spirit, definitely. But the competition part, which is, yes, the benefit to your training, because then you can test your training and see if it works. But you have to be aware of that. You're not cutting anything.
Right.
When you do Iaido or Yai training, the idea is if or when you do Kenjutsu, Ken against Ken, if you're being touched, it's going to get infected This is 16th century. There's no penicillin.
Yeah.
So the arm is the gun. It gets infected, it gets cut off, and then you die.
What rank were you promoted to in Iaido?
I stopped taking a test at 5th Dan, but Mitsuzuka Sensei gave me 6th Dan from his group. Downgrade don't mean much in Iaido.
Because there's no Muso Shinden-ryu Iaido group anymore, is there?
Yes, it's It's within the federation.
Oh yeah,
the Yai Federation in Japan. Yai Renmei.
But the main style and
it's still a Moriryu. Yeah, it's still Muso Shinden-ryu. And Eishin Ryu is pretty strong, but most of the stuff is Muso Shinden-ryu.
Because I think the Kendo Federation, they're more Jikiden Eishin Ryu, right?
Maybe. I'm not aware of that, not familiar with that. I love to look at Kendo. I wish I could have done some Kendo too, because it's very spectacular and it's rewarding when you can hit.
Right.
And we would do with Mitsuzuka Sensei. Mitsuzuka Sensei would give us a big shinai, and he would take a small piece of rubber stuff, like a wakizashi, a rubber wakizashi. And he said, hit me with the shinai. Hit like crazy, and then boom, 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 you hit everywhere.
Today people just don't do stuff like that, right?
Kendo, it can be very efficient too. You get hit really bad. That's how Chiba Sensei started to do Aikido. That's why.
Really? In what way?
He was doing judo and he had a challenge with a Kendo person. And the guy with the Kendo killed him. He beat the hell out of him. And so he was bruised everywhere. And then he said, well, I'm in the wrong business, so I have to do something else. So he wanted to switch to Kendo, and while gathering information on what he could do, he found O-sensei, and so he changed.
I never heard that story. That's an interesting story.
He told the story himself.
But that strong level of Aikido there's not many people who still do that.
Well, I don't think that many people can do it.
No.
So that's the problem too.
Right.
That's why opening, and diversifying the learning widely is the mistake.
But how does it survive if you don't? Like Aikikai has the strongest organization, Tomiki and all those guys.
Yes, and they had a lot of donors, and Aikikai is in the umbrella of the government, so they are a foundation. They receive grants, and then this. O-sensei was working his dojo, the Kobukan dojo, did have very few members. There were maybe 30 members, and that was it. Very rich members.
But is that specialized training still going on at Hombu Dojo?
No. Not the same way, not the same manner. And it's open, it's public, so it's different. O-sensei's dojo was not public, it was private.
But what do we do? How do we teach people Aikido today? How do we fix what's seems to be a little bit broken in Aikido?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Chiba Sensei was trying to have a dojo where he had a sufficient number of students that were very serious, that would study in the Kenshusei program, so that's all they were doing. And then the other members that would join and were at a profession otherwise, and they would just benefit from the training. Then they were welcome, but Chiba Sensei didn't really care about them. There was no interest in teaching them because they were not going to be professional, or they were not going to try to move the knowledge of Aikido a little bit higher.
So, you've been involved in Aikido for a long time.
But I don't teach.
But looking backwards, what do you see as how it benefited or changed your life?
Definitely, completely. But I don't know what my life would have been without Aikido. I don't know that. But I'm pretty sure, yes, of course, it has changed you, or it models you.
How does it mold you?
Maybe, I don't know, more stability, morals. There are things that you won't do. Style, I don't know whether it's good or it's not. I don't really know. I drink too much, probably. So Not that, but no, I'm just joking.
But what advice do you give to Aikidoists that are starting today?
I try not to give advice. It's just show this is what it's going to be. It's going to take forever. Your whole life. There is not a trophy to collect at the end of it. It's going to be your whole life. It's going to be this training. So if you find something for yourself in it, do it. If not, go do something else that's more pleasant or satisfying for you. But then really be able to create one person that will be
the one
his
person.
follower.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need. One.
Yeah.
It's like the dog that bites his own tail.
Right.
He's gonna be always like this. If you're happy in what you're doing, then fine. Life, it's only one time. It's in one shot, and then you die, and then it's over. We don't know what's gonna happen for other people.
But they might as well do Aikido.
Hopefully, or change the world. Chiba Sensei always said that. You have to keep teaching because somebody might come up.
That's true.
That you don't know who it is or where it is. Somebody might just come up and then bring everything up a step or a couple of steps. So don't give up. Keep teaching, keep sharing, not teaching. Keep sharing what you know with others or train with others. So you pass it. See if it can be of benefit for someone.
That's why I teach. Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Good.
Well, but thank you for coming on my podcast. I really
pleasure.
appreciate it.